Welcome to the Working With Me podcast.
And it's episode 1.
It is.
Can you believe it?
I know, right?
I'm excited.
It's pretty cool.
We are going to explore a concept today that might just change how you think about collaboration.
Yeah?
The idea of Working With Me guide.
Ooh.
Essentially a user manual for, well, you is gaining traction and for good reason.
I first came across this with Claire Hughes Johnson.
Oh, yeah.
COO of Stripe.
Yes.
And her guide basically went viral internally because it was so helpful.
It's amazing.
To imagine having a document that spells out your preferred ways of working so everyone's on the same page.
It's incredible.
It is, yeah.
What's fascinating is this isn't just about avoiding miscommunication, though that's a huge part of it.
Of course.
It's also about proactive transparency.
Oh, interesting.
Imagine how much smoother projects would run if everyone knew each other's working styles from the get-go.
So it's like you're giving your colleagues a cheat sheet,
right?
So they don't have to guess.
Exactly.
How to best work with you.
Yeah.
It seems almost counterintuitive, though. Shouldn't people just, I don't know, figure it out?
You'd think so.
Yeah.
But the reality is we all have different working styles, often unspoken assumptions about how things should be done.
Right.
That's where friction can arise.
Friction, yeah.
A Working With Me guide takes the guesswork out of the equation.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about being demanding.
Right.
It's about setting clear expectations from the start.
Yeah, which, let's be honest, can save everyone a lot of headaches down the road.
Exactly.
And time.
Yes.
Which, as we all know, is precious.
Absolutely.
Fewer misunderstandings, less back and forth.
Right.
And ultimately, more productive working relationships.
For sure.
What's not to love?
Exactly. And Claire Hughes Johnson's experience at Stripe is a perfect example of how powerful this can be.
I think it's such a good example.
When she joined, the company was still pretty small, but she recognized even then the value of setting those expectations early on.
Okay, so let's talk about her guide.
Okay.
What made it so effective?
Well,
was it just the content or was there something more to it?
Well, one thing that stands out is its relatability.
Okay.
She didn't just issue a list of rules.
Right.
Instead, she infused it with personal insights, her preferences, even her pet peeves.
Yeah.
It felt more like a conversation starter than a corporate memo.
That's so smart, making it human and approachable.
Right.
It sets a completely different tone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it resonated with people.
They felt seen.
Yes. They felt like they were getting a glimpse into how she worked.
Right.
Which made them more comfortable working with her.
Yeah.
It also inspired a lot of people to create their own versions.
Okay. So if you're ready to start thinking about creating your own Working With Me document,
yes,
we have a fantastic resource for you.
Oh, wonderful.
You can visit workingwithmedoc.card.co.
Great.
For information, templates, and all sorts of helpful examples to get you started.
Oh, wow. That's great.
It's really well put together.
It's a great jumping off point.
It is.
But let's get back to the guide.
Okay.
It raises the question, what are the key elements that make it work?
Yeah. What are the essential questions it should answer?
Right.
So people really get how to best collaborate with you.
Well, the article we're looking at highlights some excellent starting points.
Okay.
For example, it suggests starting with, what do I want to be involved in?
Okay.
This helps clarify your role within the team.
Ah, so people know when to loop you in.
Exactly.
And when they can make decisions independently.
Yes.
I can see how that would prevent a lot of unnecessary back and forth.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Then there's the question of, when do I want to hear from you?
Ooh.
This establishes communication boundaries and prevents people from feeling like they need to constantly update you on every single detail.
Oh, I love this one.
Yes.
We all have different tolerances for interruptions and updates.
Exactly.
Some thrive on constant communication while others need more focused time.
Yes.
It's about recognizing those differences and setting expectations accordingly.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And speaking of communication, it's also crucial to address preferred modes of contact.
Yes.
Are you an email person? A phone call enthusiast?
Yeah.
Do you prefer face-to-face interaction?
Right.
Getting this out in the open can really streamline communication.
Imagine trying to hash out a complex issue over email with someone who thrives on brainstorming in person.
I know.
It's like speaking different languages.
Exactly. Aligning communication styles from the get-go is essential.
Yeah.
And then there are those more sensitive areas, things that can cause friction if not addressed.
Yeah.
Things that make us impatient.
Yeah, and it's not always easy to articulate those things, especially when they feel like, well, pet peeves.
Right. You don't want to come across as overly sensitive or demanding.
Right.
But how do you address those potential friction points without turning your guide into a laundry list of complaints.
That's the art of it. Claire does this really well.
She frames those pet peeves as areas where she's simply trying to optimize collaboration.
Okay.
Like she mentions that she values efficiency and gets impatient when meetings are poorly structured.
Oh, tell me about it. I think we've all been in those meetings that just feel like a complete waste of time.
Yes.
You walk out thinking, what did we even accomplish?
Exactly. But instead of just complaining about it, she proactively addresses it in her guide.
Okay.
She lays out her expectations for meeting prep.
Yeah?
Clear agendas, concise presentations, making sure everyone's time is used wisely.
It's not about stifling creativity or brainstorming.
Right.
It's about being respectful of everyone's time and making sure the meeting has a purpose.
I like that.
Yes, and this approach goes beyond just meetings.
Okay.
She also mentions preferring to be looped in on important decisions early on, even if it's just a heads up.
So she's not a fan of surprises when it comes to big decisions.
Right.
Makes sense, especially in a fast-paced environment like Stripe, where things are constantly evolving. Right. She explains that having that early visibility allows her to provide context or input, ensuring things align with the broader strategic vision.
So it's about having a voice in the process,
right,
not necessarily controlling every decision.
Precisely. It's that strategic but flexible approach she talks about.
Right.
Having a clear vision, but also being adaptable when needed.
Which, now that you mention it, is also reflected in her email system.
Yes.
That whole FYI thing is brilliant.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It sets clear expectations while streamlining communication.
Right.
And an email has been acknowledged and you don't get bogged down in unnecessary replies.
But I'm curious, have you seen any potential downsides to that approach? What if someone does need a response and doesn't explicitly ask? Could that create anxiety or confusion?
That's a valid point. It really depends on the team culture and individual communication styles.
Yeah.
The key is to be mindful of those potential pitfalls and adjust accordingly. Maybe you have a quick check-in system for important emails just to make sure everyone's on the same page.
That makes sense. It's about finding that balance between efficiency and making sure people feel heard.
Right.
This whole conversation is making me rethink my own approach to deadlines. I tend to be very flexible.
Okay.
Which could be a good thing, but maybe I need more clarity up front, to avoid last-minute scrambles.
I think that's a great insight, and it highlights the beauty of this whole working with me concept.
Yeah.
It's not a one-size-fits-all solution. It's about self-reflection and figuring out what works best for you and your team.
Exactly. And that's where resources like workingwithme.card.co can be so helpful.
Absolutely.
They provide a framework and examples.
Yes.
But ultimately, it's about customizing it to your own needs and preferences.
Absolutely. It's a starting point, a catalyst for those important conversations about how we work best together.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about Claire Hughes Johnson's guide, and it's given us some amazing insights.
Yes.
But now I want to shift gears and bring it back to you, our listener.
Okay.
What are your biggest takeaways from this so far? What resonates with you the most?
This is where it gets really interesting. Think about your own work life, your current projects, your team dynamics.
Yeah.
What are some of your unspoken preferences or pet peeves?
Right.
Are there areas where a working with me guide or even just a more open conversation could help smooth things out?
It's about identifying those potential friction points before they become major issues.
Exactly.
Maybe it's how you handle feedback or your approach to brainstorming, or even something as simple as how you prefer to schedule meetings.
And remember, it's not about changing who you are or trying to please everyone. It's about creating a work environment where you can be your most productive and authentic self. Which brings me to a question for you. Imagine you're crafting your own working with me guide.
Okay.
What's the one thing you'd want colleagues to understand above all else? That unspoken rule, that quirk that makes you tick.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yep.
It really makes you think.
Yeah.
I'd probably highlight my need for clear objectives.
Okay.
I get really energized when I understand the why behind a project.
Yes.
Without that, I feel like I'm just spinning my wheels.
I can relate to that.
Yeah.
Having a sense of purpose is so crucial for motivation and focus.
It is.
It's like having a compass.
It is.
It keeps you on track.
Exactly. And it's not just about individual motivation.
Right.
When everyone understands the bigger picture,
Yeah.
it fosters alignment and shared purpose,
Yes.
which leads to better collaboration and ultimately better results.
Right. And that's where the real power of a working with me guide lies.
I see that.
It's not just about outlining preferences.
Right.
It's about creating a shared understanding that empowers everyone to contribute their best work.
It's like providing that missing piece of the puzzle, right?
Yes.
That thing that helps everyone click into place and work together more effectively.
Exactly.
I'm starting to see this guide as less about me and more about us.
That's a fantastic insight.
Yeah.
It's about creating a culture of mutual understanding and respect, acknowledging that we all have our quirks and preferences.
Right. And by embracing those differences,
Right.
by making them explicit, we can actually leverage them to our advantage.
For sure.
Imagine a team where everyone's working styles complement each other, where communication is seamless, and where everyone feels valued and heard.
That's a powerful vision, and it's not just a pipe dream.
No,
With tools like Working with Me guides, we can create a more harmonious and productive work environment for everyone.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yes.
I want to challenge you, our listener,
Okay.
to take action.
All right.
Think about those unspoken rules that make you tick.
Yes.
Jot them down.
Yeah.
Share them with your team, and start those conversations about how you can all work better together.
And remember, if you're ready to dive deeper into this concept, be sure to check out workingwithmedoc.card.co.
Yes, it's such a good resource.
It's a treasure trove of resources, templates, and examples to help you create a Working With Me guide that truly reflects your unique style.
Right.
It's a game changer for anyone who wants to elevate their teamwork and achieve greater success together.
Well, thank you for listening to the Working With Me podcast.
It's been a pleasure.
We're excited to continue this journey of exploring how we can all work better together.
Yes.
See you in the next episode.